Hi folks, hope you're doing well. It's nearly 5 p.m. on the 11th of the 5th, 2020. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well. And you have had a good weekend. We just had the weekend gone. Hope you're staying safe and being wise. I heard a song the other day. It's called Even When You're Running. Even When You're Running by Casting Crowns. It's on a new album. And in that song, one of the lines says, "A better day is coming." Now that, to me, again, is this fluffy wuffy Christianity that is not really based on any form of reality. And the problem is, reality matters. You've got to be real. You certainly have to be looking at the real stuff that life has in it and the way life tends to work. Because there's a pattern to life and it tends to work the same way with everybody. It doesn't change. It doesn't really get easier for some and harder for others. It stays the same because for one person it's hard and it normally continues to be hard. One person it's easy and it normally continues to be easy or easier. Yeah. And it's not a case where they have tapped into something. It's just a case that that's the way their life is. But as the better days are coming, I've covered this sort of thing before. Saying good things are going to happen in your life. Okay, based on what? Are they just going to happen? Or do you need to do something to make them happen? If you need to do something, then surely what we need to be hearing is, what do we need to do to make that happen? Because any idea that things are just going to improve is utter nonsense. Things aren't just going to improve. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I can look at my life in the last, certainly I'd say, for 30 years. At any point in time, have things just improved? No. I mean, things at times have seemed to have improved. But when you look back, did they really improve? No, you just got yourself into another situation. I say relationships are quite common in this area, is that we get into a relationship with someone that always looks bright and sunny on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that sort of thing. But as I've said recently in other videos, if you're not a good fit with that person, it's not going to work. It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be painful and disappointing and hard. That's the reality. And if that is the reality, have things improved? Clearly not, no. Things didn't improve. They looked as if they did for a while, but they didn't. Because that's the reality. That's the way that things go. For some people, that you keep on making the same mistakes. And that's why I've said we need some better guidance from the people that are supposed to be the men and women of God. The people that are supposed to be leading us. We need them to give us what God wants for us. That's what church should always be about. Because if church is simply about, well, we're going to go through the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5 this week. That's what we're doing on Sunday. We're going through chapter 5 of Mark. My personal interpretation of it. Yeah, sorry, we don't need that. We don't. Have a little pamphlet every week on a Sunday that people will come in, they get a pamphlet. On that pamphlet, put in big letters, study Mark chapter 5 this week. In your cell groups or house groups, or whatever you call these groups, discuss Mark chapter 5. What has God told you about it? If you want to deal with Mark chapter 5, that's how you deal with it. You don't do it where you give the leaders personal understanding of Mark chapter 5 this week, and then they do John 2 next week, and then they do Ephesians chapter 3 the week after. Sorry, folks, we don't need that. If you've got a Bible, you're more than capable of reading your own Bible. If you're not, then maybe the church should be helping you to do that. But what we don't need is the sort of church ministry that they needed in the 18th and 17th century, where because the only people that had the Bible then were the church leaders. Yeah, the bishops, the vicars. They were the only people that had the Bible. Their parishioners, the church members, didn't have a Bible at that point in time, so therefore the only way they could get it was for it being read out on Sunday. But only a moron would think that God still wants things to be done that way now when everybody has a Bible. Why do we need to use the same pattern that they were using then? I mean, even the songs, exactly the same. You go into some churches, you even have songs that were written in the 17th and 18th century. That's what their predominant songs are, certainly in a lot of Baptist churches. Oh, they love that stuff. I mean, some of it is beautiful, but the majority of it is utter rubbish. Certainly doesn't speak to society today. Not in any way, shape, or form. But to be honest, I don't know of any Christian music that really speaks of society today, that really speaks of the temptations that you'll find on the internet, that you'll find on TV programs, because that's another point. That's something I'll have to cover at some point. I think I probably did a while back, 2 or 3 years ago. I think I spoke about it or wrote about it. I'm not sure what I did. I did something about it then. But I'm going to have to do that. More TV. Internet. We know about the internet. We know that you can find anything you blinking well want on the internet. You can watch and download whatever you want to watch on download. It's all there. But TV, radio, how innocent are these things? How dark are these things? Wow, yeah. We'll do that one day. But as to things changing, that was what this video was about. As to things changing in your life, and as to a better day coming. Tricky. It is tricky. I mean, I was thinking about this last night when I took the dogs for a walk. And yeah, I know with regards to my own situation, I've asked God to provide me with new teeth. My teeth are a mess, to say the least. It's my fault. 90% of why they're a mess. Well, I'd say, okay, be fair, 70% of why they're a mess is my fault. 30% is the fault of dentists when I was a kid. Because they would do, as I said before, they would do fill-ins and other treatments that were completely unnecessary. Because it was the way they got money. They were NHS dentists and they got paid for the treatment. If they just, set you in a chair, looked, okay, your teeth are fine. Yeah, you can go. Make an appointment for 2 months' time. They might get paid, in English money, they might, or UK money, they might get paid, say £6. We're talking when I was a kid, that is. They might get paid £6 for that. If they did a filling, It would take a little bit longer, but they would get paid considerably more for the amount of time that they'd use, considerably more, because of the fact they'd have to do something like that. So they would get paid maybe £20 for that. Now, of course, that's money going to them. So the thing of it is that was dealt with very similar to a private dentistry at the time. It's where the NHS was done. 45 years ago. Between 45 to 40 years ago. That's the way they were done. And the problem is that our lives as children were constantly sugar, 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 sugar. We were having sugar just thrown at us. What are you at today? Oh, I've had this, that, and the other. Well, it's sugar cube. Chew on that for a while. There you go. There's a bowl of sugar cubes. You eat those. Basically, that's what it was as a kid. And of course, so your teeth would be a mess. But again, as I've said a recent one myself, I've generally have been out of the habit for most of my life of taking care of my teeth. When I've been in relationships, I've taken care of them. When I've not been in relationships, no, I haven't. I just haven't. And there's nothing intentional about it. To a certain degree, I say nothing intentional. To a certain degree, I suppose, yeah, because I've been like this place I'm in now, no hot water. The only hot water you get is a shower. That's run on electricity, electric shower. But taps wise, cold water. That's it. Now, certainly in winter, you don't want to be doing that just before bed. You don't really want to be boiling a kettle to put, some boiling water in with the cold water. Because if you put too much, you burn your mouth. If you put too less, you still, when you brush your teeth, you get sensitivity, and it still blinking hurts. So you just don't bother. It's not intentional that I'm not going to bother for 4 or 5 years. When I moved into this place, I was hoping I'd be out of it within 6 months. I've hated this place really since I moved in it. It's horrible. It really is. It's just far too close. Everything about it is quite oppressive. And so when you're in a place that's oppressive, then you want to be out of it. And you believe that, God's going to help you to do that. Well, because as I've said before, I was in a situation previously when I lived in the south of England where I was looking for a flat, and I found a flat that had its own garden that would allow dogs. And before I actually went to view it, the night before, I heard a very audible voice saying, "Forget that place. The place I have for you is much better." So I'm like, "Okay, all right, Lord. I'll forget that." But that was years ago. No, 7 years ago now. What about that? So yeah, it's been a lot waiting. Yeah, I mean, it's us 6 years ago, I'd say, not 7, 6. I've been waiting ever since then. I've been believing for most of that time that, God's going to provide a place for me to live that's going to be really nice. That will at least have hot bloody water. At least. But I've been in a few places like this where, the water was really poor or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I have to say that even at that point in time, before I moved north, I could go 4 months without brushing my teeth. It was just a case I just forgot. I would just forget. Because once you got to bedtime, quite often, if I'm not working or if I'm not with someone, there's no real plan to bedtime. And I think for me, when there's a plan for bedtime, yes, we're going to bed in, 12 o'clock, say, or whatever. Then there's a preparation for that, and you're preparing for it. Part of the preparation is you brush your teeth. You do that. 10 minutes in the morning, you're going to work or whatever, so you've got a preparation for that, or you're with someone. You want to kiss that person good morning, so you brush your teeth. When you're single, you don't have any of that. So, unfortunately, the motivation just hasn't been there to do that, or the whatever. So I've just forgotten to do so for most of my time as being single. And then I'd go to visit a dentist. I'd have my teeth cleaned. For 6 or 7 months, I'd be doing my teeth every day, at least once a day. And I'd slip. I'd start doing it sort of once every 3 days, and then once a week, and then go another 4 months without doing my teeth. But I say it's not a case of saying, sod my teeth, they're not important. Of course they're important. You've got to eat. You've got to be able to chew stuff. So you need teeth. As I said, with regards to this situation here, 3 years ago now, I started the case against the vets who come in to get Lucy neutered. I felt incredibly offended by what they've done, and they've done that to my girl. And they've got to learn that they can't do this. And for some reason, strange reason, I felt that God would be behind me, because I made sure I asked a Christian friend, do you know of any Christian lawyers? And that person pointed me to somebody. I asked that person if they would deal with the case, and they said that they know someone else in their office who's also a Christian who does deal with that sort of issue. So I thought, right, well, if I'm going through someone who's a Christian, if God isn't backing me, then that person should know that. And that person would then, be honourable and say that I don't think you're not going to win this. So let's not bother. And of course, the person didn't do that. The person led me to believe that it would be, a decent case to take on. That wouldn't take too long to do. We're now 3 years in. And as I say, at the start of that, my plan was I would get some sort of compensation off of them and use that to get teeth done. Get implants. That's my plan. Because what happens is, if I've got, and it was the case at around that time, I went to dentists. I go to vets to get my teeth done. To dentists, and they had told me that I need 5 or 6 teeth taken out. Well, I know certainly there's certainly 3 that are bad to the point that occasionally they get quite wobbly. So the only thing that's really keeping the teeth in is the tar, or whatever it's called. What's it called? Whatever it's called when you don't brush your teeth and you have all the stuff, or even when you do brush your teeth, you have all that stuff. That stuff is probably holding the teeth in there at the moment. So, yeah. But what happens is you have all those teeth taken out. But then I used to only chew on my right side of my mouth. But now I had a tooth taken out, and now I don't chew on that side, because I only have 1 tooth or 2 teeth, I think, on the bottom area, because I've got 2 missing in that area now. So yeah. So I chew on the left. Now, if they take some from the top of the left, and it's 2 from the top left, 2 from the top right, then chances are the teeth aren't going to meet, top and bottom. In which case, how can you chew? How can you chew meat and stuff like that? You just can't. So the plan was, all the while, let's try and use any compensation to get implants done, and then still asking God to replace the implants with real teeth, to glorify his name, to basically have God say, right, let's deal with all the stuff. I smoked for years, so new lungs. new kidneys, new liver, new muscles, bones, skin, hair, organs, everything. Why not? If God can do it for Abraham and Sarah, there's no reason he can't do it for us. You just need to believe that God can do that, and there's no reason he can't. However, as I was walking the dogs around last night, I knew, God is unlikely to give me new teeth unless he knows I'm going to take care of them. Now, okay, one way to do that is I could be introduced, or properly sort of introduced by God to the person I'm going to marry, and we could sort of get to the point of getting married. Then God could give me new teeth, because then I'd look after them, because I'd be in that situation where I'm waking up next to someone, going to bed with someone every night, and there's that encouragement to brush your teeth, because you don't want to be having a stinky breath for that person. That could happen, because then God would know, you're going to look after the teeth. I give you new teeth, you're going to look after them. But I would personally rather that all happen before that. Although, realistically speaking, if that person ever listened to the videos, they'd probably listen to this one, the other one, where I've talked about my teeth and how I've not really taken care of them. The point I'm making about a better day is that it is quite often the case that God's going to want you to do what you need to do to unlock that better day, or to unlock that better thing. That's why I've just given you all that story about my teeth and saying I probably won't get new teeth until I may have to start brushing my teeth for 6 months, right, before God does anything. I mean, God may never actually give me new teeth. But one thing that is pretty much a guarantee, if I start brushing my teeth morning and night for 6 months, by the end of that 6 months, I'm going to have 6 teeth replaced, because they're going to be incredibly painful. Just having a hot drink or cold drink, or hot meal or cold meal, or chewing, any movement of the tooth at all, if it's a bit wobbly, is incredibly painful. So at the moment, they're not giving me any pain at all. So that is the encouragement to say don't do anything yet, because there's no flipping pain. So it's like, I'd rather keep it that way if at all possible. But I don't know. I mean, it's always the case, without a shadow of doubt in any way, shape, or form. It is always the case that if you keep doing things the same way, nothing's going to change. Or you're silly to expect things to change. Now, God can change things at any point in time whenever he has the will to do so. And, you don't necessarily have to do anything to get God to make that change. But for you to expect for change to come without doing anything is lunacy. To expect different results from doing things the same way would be, a bit insane, really. But that's why we need to develop our relationships with God and learn to be led. And that's why I've been trying to push people in these videos to do that. Because if you can do that, if you can be led by the Holy Spirit, if you can be led by God, if you can understand God and his ways, or even his ways in your life, which developing a relationship with him, he may actually help you to see how he does things in your life, which will then be a blessing to you. Then you can walk out your life in a far, far better way. I'm not saying walk out of your life, walk out your life. Because you're on a walk. You're on a journey, and you can walk that journey in a far, far better way. Because not knowing is tricky. It's like I was saying to God last night when I was walking around with the dogs, chances are that things will get better. Chances are there will be a better day. Because why would God give a dream and a vision to then leave someone in complete mess? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't, especially if you look at the dream and the vision. They're sort of tying together and they're talking about the same thing. So they're talking about the church getting right. So, yeah. But it's always a case that when it comes down to it, that there still may be things that we need to do. There may be understandings that we need to do. There may be things that we need to do. Can be very, very simple. If you have an issue with gambling, then maybe it could be a case of dealing with that. If you have an issue of temptation with pornography and you've downloaded a ton of stuff, then maybe it's a case of deleting that. If you've done anything against the law, if you've not paid your tithe, then maybe it's a case of simply paying your tithe for this month. You don't have to pay backdated tithe. It may simply be a case of saying, okay, this month I'm going to start paying my tithe. Now, I was fully intending to start paying my tithe, fully intending to do that. But then we've had the Rona. Because the place I go once a month is closed at the moment, so can't go there. Yeah, it's a lovely photo, that one. You see that photo? The beautiful flowers on the trees. Gorgeous. That's where I was living. We're not in the trees. But that was the area I was in before I moved north. Where, I found a place and the Lord said, forget that place, the place I have for you. The place I have for you is much better. And so I thought, okay. Of course, the Lord could have meant, heaven. It's like, excuse me, don't tell me to forget a place that I could be living for 20 or 30 years that could be really nice because you have a place in heaven that's far better for me than that. If I'm not going to heaven for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, then, you can leave that message, It's a message that's not needed if you're talking about heaven. If you're talking about a place on earth that's better, well then, but as I say, maybe it's a case where had I moved into that place in the south, I wouldn't have moved north, which means I wouldn't have the dogs I have now. I would have got dogs, but they probably wouldn't have been the same. Well, they wouldn't be. I wouldn't be travelling, 700 miles to get a puppy. So, I would have got a puppy local. So chances are it wouldn't have been the same dogs. And maybe they have importance. Maybe even the fact I'm in this, horrible little place is important. With the people around me that I've got, that are not exactly encouraging. Maybe all of that is important. Maybe that's all important as to how to get me to where I need to be. So we don't know, do we? Maybe that's, maybe that's going to put me on the path to get that place that's much better. And if I'd have got the place in the south, then I wouldn't be on the path to get that place that's much better. The problem is it's a flipping long path. 5, 6 years already. Since I heard that, it's 5 or 6 years already. So it's like, come on. And anyway, we'll leave it at that. As I said in this one, God can change things just like that. Can do. But you'd be far better off and wiser to assume that maybe there's something you've got to do to unlock that. Because maybe you do need to unlock that. Maybe it's a case that with you, things won't just be done. With most people, things aren't just done. People are waiting years and years and years and years and years for something to happen and nothing happens. And then they die. and nothing's happened. See, a marvellous thing on TV program that I was watching. Brilliant, to say the least. It's Afterlife Season 2. In the first episode, they go to an old people's home to interview a lady who's 100 and has got a letter from the Queen. And they're asking the lady, so how has it been living this sort of life? And what would you recommend people to do to live as old as you have? And she said, well, I wouldn't recommend it at all. He said, life has been really painful and really crap. He said, basically, I've lived in the same town, done the same things for all my life. I might as well have been living as a tree for the amount I've achieved in my life. And it was funny, but it was also quite sad because, for a lot of people, they're in that situation where they're basically trees, where they're not achieving anything more than what a tree would. Just blowing in the wind. That's all, stuck in one place, just blowing in the wind. And we shouldn't be doing it. We're meant to thrive, not survive. And the point of thriving is we need to develop a relationship with the Lord, be led and guided by Him so that we can thrive. Difficult, folks. I'm not going to pretend it's easy. We have had some time, or we still have a little bit of time with this lockdown situation going on. We still have some time. So, I wish you well in that way. I really do. I hope you are successful in what you try to achieve. You take care. God bless. I will speak to you soon. What subject and when? Don't know. Time will tell. God bless. Bye-bye.